Look, I wanna thank everyone for being here today for an important announcement as we seek to move Metro forward and define the next couple of years of our public transit strategy. As many of you know, Madam Chair Karen Patman has been as a board member of Metro for about 10 years. And so I know when I came in as mayor, I appointed her as to chair Metro, but she is term limited. She's term limited, and unfortunately, she's been a carryover. But she is term limited, and as a result, it's now time to kind of move to the next step of leadership for Metro. But I want to start off from the very beginning for thanking Karen for her extraordinary service to the Metro service region, to the city of Houston, and I could not be more proud. Um, and Karen will be ending her stay on Metro and as chair next week on February the 24th. It's ironic, I mean, it's interesting that today she rode the bus over here, and she has frequently during her term, she has been on what we call Studiowood 44, the fofo, which comes through downtown, goes through the Acres Home community, and then comes back this way. The bus that I rode for many, many years, coming up in Acres Home and going over to University of Houston, she's gotten quite familiar with it. But before I announce this afternoon my nominee for the next chair, I do want to highlight a few of the accomplishments, and these are a few of the accomplishments that Karen Patman has had as chair, and then thank her for her incredible service on behalf of the city of Houston and the Metro Service Region. One of the crowning achievements of Karen Patman's tenure as chair of the Metro Board of Directors is the Metro Next Moving Forward Plan, which was approved by 70% of voters, which is an amazing. I want to thank her for her leadership. I want to thank these board members and for the trust that's been established with the public. The long-range transit plan is designed to ensure all communities have equitable access to excellent transportation, and it will keep Houston competitive in attracting international investment and workers. Metro has already started implementing parts of the $7.5 billion plan that calls for 500 miles of travel improvements, including more bus service, expansion of Metro Rapid and light rail to Hobby Airport, and the next Metro chairman will be charged with carrying out the implementation of Metro Next. Karen demonstrated effective leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic by encouraging mask wearing on Metro even before the CDC firmly established that as protocol, ensuring masks were provided to customers who did not have one, and early on, adopting a mask mandate on the system, as well as free rides to vaccination sites. Under her leadership, Metro launched an initiative to make the system fully accessible to elderly and disabled patrons, going beyond the basic requirements of the Americans with Disability Act. And let me just say, Les, can't say enough for you, and thank you for joining in, and the board members for making sure that we didn't leave anyone out. There has been an expansion of transit in traditionally underserved communities. Thank you for that, including the use of smaller vehicles to provide curb-to-curb service in areas with poor infrastructure. She has worked to ensure fair treatment of women and minorities, both in internal staffing decisions and in contracting, including initiating Metro's first gender equity study of our staff and commissioning Metro's first disparity study, evaluating whether contracts with vendors fully reflect the gender and ethnic diversity of the region. And she also established an Hispanic advisory committee to recruit more Hispanics at Metro. I want to thank you for that. And during her tenure, the Office of Innovation was established to explore global advances in transit and transportation-related technologies all over the world. The office spearheaded the pilot of an autonomous vehicle on the campus of Texas Southern University, and the agency also launched Wi-Fi on the system and other tools to make transit travel easier. Under her direction and with the support of this incredible board, the Metro Board adopted a climate action plan which calls for procuring only zero-emission vehicles by 2030. Metro just purchased its first electric buses to move towards a cleaner environment. I want to thank this entire board for that. The region's first bus rapid transit line, METRORapid, began operations in 2020. Peer agencies nationwide have taken notice, and Metro was selected the 2020 Outstanding Public Transportation System of the Year by the American Public Transportation Association. For all that you have done, Karen, in the advancement of providing safe, clean, reliable, accessible, and friendly public transportation services to our region, the leadership you provided to this incredible board, we all want to say thank you and really appreciate your service, your commitment, your dedication. No question, you love this, this whole region, and you have spent every day in making it happen. So again, join me in thanking Karen Padman, the chair of Metro.
Well, thank you so very much, Mr. Mayor. I was visiting with the mayor the other day and just said it's really been the greatest public service blessing of my life for him to have entrusted me in this role. And I have had the most magnificent board any public body has ever had. And I also, under the leadership of Chief Lambert, have benefited from an incredibly an exceptionally capable staff. And so a number of the accomplishments that the mayor has listed are very much joint efforts of the board and of the staff. And fortunately, when Mayor Turner announces my successor, you will realize that it is the only person I've ever met with energy that approximates that of the mayor. So we're going to be in good hands. They both have the energy of teenagers. So I want to, I rode down here today on the 44. That's what I rode down here when I became the chair of Metro. And it has been the greatest pleasure of my life in the political arena, and I've spent my whole life in the political arena, really, as many of you know, to serve this mayor among all mayors, because I have never observed, and we've worked closely together on everything. I really don't think I've ever observed a more talented, imaginative, committed, compassionate, caring, never forgot where he grew up, public servant than the mayor. I used to say, except for those in my own family. Well, I can't say that anymore. And one reason is, after all these years together, you are my family. So I appreciate you so much. And I appreciate all of you. It's so important, those of you here, Doug and others in the media, to get the word out about Metro. Because one of the challenges when I came in as chair, and when I was on the board before, thanks to Mayor Parker, was that I realized people just don't have an understanding of the vital nature Metro plays in the community, for the business community, for the residents of Houston, for the healthcare industry. It really is the lifeblood of our community. And so I hope you will all, those of you on the board, Tom and others on the staff, city council members like my great friend Dave Martin and David Robertson, my great friends. I hope you will all, and those of you in the press, will continue to spread the word about everything we do and take on the misconceptions that can be out there that are sort of these seat-of-the-pants impressions that are just simply inaccurate, because Metro is a magnificent agency that this community and this region could not survive and be competitive without Metro. So I thank all of you with all my heart. And now it's time for the mayor to announce somebody that I couldn't be more pleased will be taking on this role.
And now it's my pleasure to announce Karen Patman's successor. And I am pleased to nominate as the next chair of Metro, Sanjay Ramabhadran. Was that close? Ram. You know, I get it sooner or later. You know, I have known, and let me say affectionately, I've known Sanjay for almost 20 years. That's long enough to call him Sanjay. But I am going to say Sanjay Ramabhadran. Yeah. Look, let me just say Sanjay is a leader who knows how to bring people together and get things done. I have seen him do that over the last 20 years, consistent and reliable. He has served on the Metro Board of Directors since May 2015 and currently serves as chair of the Capital and Strategic Planning Committee and a member of the Finance and Audit Committee. He is a prepared and proven leader who is ready to steer Texas' largest metropolitan transit authority right now. He has helped oversee the planning, design, construction, and launch of major projects, including Metro Next, that enhance mobility throughout the region. These projects include a multi-million-dollar program ensuring universal accessibility for passengers with a range of disabilities. He also worked to expand the Metro bus rapid transit system to include the inner Katy Lane, connecting uptown and downtown and the University Line, which will be the longest bus rapid transit line in the nation. He is working to enhance the travel time, reliability, and access for 17 of Metro's high ridership bus routes as part of the Boost initiative. As an engineer and senior executive delivering transportation, water, and flood mitigation projects for 25 years, he brings a deep understanding of infrastructure projects, and his leadership on executing big ideas will help build the future of Metro and tackle major quality of life issues for all Houstonians. He's someone who has ridden the bus. He's someone that rides the bicycle and understands the need for multiple modal forms of transportation. His leadership will play a big role in getting the ambitious Metro Next and other projects done right. He has worked with this incredible board, and collectively together, they have just done some amazing things for the Metro region, and I am deeply grateful to all of them. Sanjay and the rest of our Metro board have earned the public trust. It hadn't been any one individual, but collectively, each one of them, working together and in collaboration, have worked very diligently to earn the public trust, and the public responded with a 70% vote on Metro Next. That trust was demonstrated in 2019 when the voters overwhelmingly approved a $3.5 billion investment in the agency. On a personal note, Sanjay and I are both senior fellows of the American Leadership Forum. He served as president and chairman of the Texas Lyceum and was chairman of the board for Leadership Houston. And the list goes on of Sanjay's civic commitments to Houston. And I believe this may also be an historic appointment of a person of Indian American heritage. Our city is diverse, and everyone should have a seat at the table in all that we do. It is important when someone meets all the levels of qualifications and you can check all the boxes. It is important for us to be intentional in creating that diversity around the table. My dad used to always say, when you have 9 kids, and a table that would only hold 5 at a time, he would say to the rest of the kids who could not sit at the table, be patient. In time, there will be a seat for you. Today in the city of Houston, we are saying there's a seat for others at the table. I could not be more proud to nominate Sanjay to be the next chairman of the board of Metro. Now let me introduce to you Sanjay Ram.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an honor of a lifetime. To be able to serve you, the city of Houston, and the residents of the greater Houston region. And I truly appreciate the confidence and trust you've placed in me to be able to build on the last several years at Metro under Chair Patman's leadership. Council members, I hope to earn the trust of Houston City Council again. It's been a great pleasure working with under the chairmanship of Karen Patman. We've learned a lot from her. The way she's navigated the Metro Next referendum with ease, if I may add, shepherded the agency through a pandemic, and now helped us adopt a climate action plan. Big shoes to fill. When I need a break, Karen, I'm going to invite myself to come visit you and Jim in Iceland. I look forward to continuing to work with my colleagues on the board, with our CEO, Tom Lambert, and the 4,100 plus strong Metro family. These men and women are frontline heroes in their own right. 24/7, 365, they work to move Houstonians, not just during regular work days during the week or for a baseball game, but when it's most needed, during a flood, during a hurricane, even during a pandemic. And we should be saluting them every single day for everything that they do. Makes it easy for us to come up here and talk about Metro. So let's give them a hand. To the many organizations that have helped prepare me to serve in this role, Leadership Houston, the Texas Lyceum, the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, the leadership is here today. Thank you all. Some of you all know my inspiration for civic engagement comes directly from watching my parents. I grew up in a small mining town in southern India, 200,000 people, small by Indian standards. My parents literally built that town, both the infrastructure as well as the civic life of the organizations. So I'm particularly grateful that my mom is here in Houston, and my dad's watching and smiling. My wife Vidya is here with our younger son, Sarang. Both my sons and my wife understand the time away from home is well spent because it's our way of engaging with and giving back to Houston. Speaking about Houston, the greater Houston region has experienced tremendous economic growth. And I think you can trace a lot of that back to visionary investments we have made. Be it the Houston Ship Channel, 2 international airports and now a spaceport, our roadways, highways, toll roads, securing water rights for a growing population, and so on. However, the continued economic growth of our region is going to be inextricably tied to the investments that we will make in improving our quality of life, and public transportation is a huge part of improving that quality of life. Our ability to attract and retain businesses, talent, and the next generation of Houstonians is tied to how we will improve public transit in Houston. So what did the citizens of Harris County and Houston do? They could have fretted and fumed about how much worse congestion will get on our freeways, but instead, they chose to make a visionary investment in Metro Next. Our focus will be on delivering on the promises of Metro Next, accelerating delivery where possible, connecting our region's job centers and business districts, hospitals and clinics, schools and universities, shopping centers and grocery stores, and parks and recreational facilities through safe, reliable, frequent, accessible, and equitable multimodal public transportation options. That's what's going to allow the region to grow. How are we going to do that? Through light rail extensions, new bus rapid transit corridors, universal accessibility, the boost corridors on 17 of our high-frequency bus routes, working with our congressional delegation to secure funding from our federal partners, and forging public-private partnerships. Now, we often talk about education as the escalator to socioeconomic mobility. Metro is in the business of multiple modes of mobility, including socioeconomic mobility. I would argue that transportation is a close second to education because you got to be able to get to those educational opportunities and job opportunities. We're going to focus on transit-oriented development along our transit corridors, work with our public and private sector partners. We did the reimagined bus network in 2015. It's time to reimagine our park and rides and transform them from concrete parking lots to destinations. Mixed-use development where you can have housing, workforce housing, affordable housing, shopping centers right next to transit, because this is the future of Houston, where every Houstonian will have the ability to choose to walk, bike, roll, drive, or our preferred choice, be driven by Metro to their destinations. That is the future that we aspire for. Mayor Turner, you had set a vision for a paradigm shift in transportation, and we at Metro are committed to do our part in bringing that vision to fruition. Metro is a public transit agency, but we are more than that. We are a public service agency. We do more than just run buses and trains. We'll work with a sense of urgency and bring more public and private sector partners to the table so that together we can accomplish more, move the ball further, and move the ball faster. We're already working with the city of Houston in synchronizing traffic lights. What will that do? Yes, it'll improve travel time for buses, but it will improve travel time for every single vehicle on the road. And in the process, significantly reduce time lost in traffic congestion, thereby increasing productivity, and it'll significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions, a potential combined impact of hundreds of millions of dollars annually. We'll partner with housing authorities and housing agencies to make that housing opportunities transit nexus come together. We'll work with our partners at Harris County, the Toll Road Authority, TxDOT, because we are all in this together. We have one goal: improving mobility for all residents of the Greater Houston region. So let's think about it this way. Our job is to increase ridership. Every person that uses the bus, the train, or the bus rapid transit service, or the METROLift service, is one less car on the street or the highway. So as you can tell, I can go on and on, but I'm going to stop. I love this city, and I've grown to love this agency. So, Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to serve you, the city, and Metro. Thank you.
And Sanjay, thank you for accepting. Now, I done got so pumped up. I'm ready to leave the mayor's detail and hell get on a bus. And I'm gonna put the mayor's detail on a bus, and we gonna be. You didn't got me pumped up now. But look, as I bring this to an end, just on a personal note, both quite capable, competent, qualified. No question about that. But if you allow me on a personal note, as mayor, I've had the privilege of appointing the first woman to chair Metro. And it's done an incredible job. And now I've had the privilege of appointing the first Indo-American as chair of Metro. Incredible talent in our city. Incredible talent. And that's what gives me hope that no matter what challenges we face, we will overcome those challenges if we work together. And I'm so very optimistic. Having said all of that, go for these persons. Thank you. And then there's these board members. Because let me tell you, I can tell you as mayor, without a strong team, you don't get good leadership. It takes a team to make it happen. So let me thank these incredible, incredible board members. Join me in thanking these board members. All right. Oh, okay. Okay.
Let me just try to do this way. What's that? Oh, sorry. For the next year, through all the things you listed off, through all of the vision, set the mayor's father's table for me. Like, what are the 5 things that we're going to start out or that are going to be critical through that?
I might have 7 fingers on my left hand, but no.
That's cool, man. You were in a movie about
So first and foremost, we're already working actively on Inner Katy corridor. Sometime in the next couple of months, we'll have a locally preferred alternative, which we'll then submit to the FTA. That'll get us off to the races. We're also working on potentially getting a categorical exclusion, sorry about the wonkiness, on the University corridor, which when built will be the longest BRT corridor in the country. That work is going on. While both these projects have a federal funding component to it, I think I would put that as a third standalone bucket because that is critical for us to fully recognize the promise of Metro Next. So $3.5 billion local investment relying on matching funds from the federal government and from, frankly, anybody else that wants to invest in the Houston region. So those are 3, right? Boost corridors, we have managed to, by March of 2023, we would have completed the first 2 boost corridors out of the 17. All of the civil works will be complete. The signal timing will take a little longer. We want to build on that model, which is not entirely just it started off as a purely Metro-funded boost corridor. We've been able to attract partners from Harris County. We want to replicate that model, and instead of doing 2 every 2 years, let's try and do 4 every 2 years, because we now have the template. That would be the 4th I would put on the list. The 5th, I would say, is transit-oriented development, because I think we've got to recognize that in a region, well, our service area is 1,300 square miles. I joke about it and say it's slightly larger than the state of Rhode Island. So when you look at a region of that size, making sure that we solve for housing and connecting it to education and job opportunities is paramount. So we've already begun working and engaging with both public sector partners and private sector partners on how we bring about transit-oriented development. This is not just for park and rides, this is also for the Wheeler Transit Center. The Innovation District with Greentown Labs, ION, that is the workforce of the future. And the folks that want to work in an innovation district are probably not going to want to drive as much as I drive. So that would be the 5th. I would add, Doug, you're familiar with this, in probably a couple of weeks, probably about a month or so, we would have finished the 2,000th bus stop under the Universal Accessibility Initiative that Dr. Frieden, Madam Chair, asked Dr. Frieden and I to lead that task force. We would have finished 2,000 bus stops. All of that work is ongoing, but these are the big bucket items. If you put 5 of them in front of you, those would be the 5.
Sound like to me you expanded the table and added some chairs. I do want to acknowledge and thank Tom Lambert for his leadership as well. So Tom, thank you so very, very much. Tom and I used to live in the same neighborhood 7 years ago. So good to see you as well. I think, was that it on the questions? Okay, we'll take a few photos, and then we'll let people get back. I know there's a committee meeting that's in progress. Will be in progress.